every movement you make, every pause in your stride, even the way you breathe. The birds in your yard are decoding it all. To them, you're just a safety or threat variable. Right now, if there are birds anywhere near your house, they're running a calculation on you. Not like how you or I would think about it, but with this kind of speed and precision that evolution has been sharpening for millions of years. And the answer they land on? It happens in milliseconds. It decides everything: if they stay or go, if they keep eating or freeze in place, or if they let you get close before they vanish. You think you're just walking outside, but to them, you're a signal, you're a transmission. You're a moving variable in a survival equation they're running constantly, without even thinking about it. Most people never realize this is happening, which is the crazy part. But here's where it gets interesting. Try this. Walk into your garden carrying a shovel. Start digging, crouch down, move some soil around, use those heavy tools. Watch what the birds do. Most of them don't even leave. They might hop to a higher branch, sure, but they stick around. Some might even get closer, picking through the fresh earth right behind you. Now, put the shovel down. Stand up. Just walk, no tools, no task, just you, straight across the grass. They're gone. Every single one. Think about that for a second. The shovel is objectively way more alarming. It's louder, it's big, it's tearing up the ground. And yet, they treated you like you were just background noise with the tool. But the second you were just walking, you were a predator. It doesn't make any sense on the surface, right? Until you realize what they're actually measuring. They are afraid of the objects, and they aren't really afraid of a noise. They're evaluating your rhythm. When you're digging, you have this repetitive, low variability movement pattern. Your pace is predictable. Your gaze is locked on the dirt. You're basically communicating. I'm busy, I'm not hunting, I'm just furniture. But a person just walking, that's a totally different profile. Your stride is direct. Your eyes are scanning, your speed changes, you're upright and mobile. To a bird's threat detection system, that looks way too much like a predator on the prowl. And when they're in doubt, they don't stop to ask questions. They just get out. That's the paradox of every backyard bird encounter. The more human and relaxed you think you look, the more dangerous your movement signature actually reads. Now, here's where things get really interesting. What the birds are actually processing isn't just your appearance. It's not your size or what you're wearing, or even if they recognize your face, though. That part comes later. What they're picking up on first is something researchers call a biosignature. Think of it as a constant real-time read of your physical presence. They're tracking your gait speed, how you swing your arms, how you hold your head, the tempo of your steps, even those tiny micro pauses or little shifts in direction. All of those inputs hit a bird's nervous system, and before they've done anything you'd call thinking, they've already sorted you into one of two categories: safe or not. And the thresholds here? They're incredibly fine. Studies on how birds detect threats show they can actually tell the difference between two humans walking the exact same path, and they'll react differently to each one just based on the length of a stride or how much one person's eyes drifted toward the feeder compared to the other. They aren't watching you the way you watch them. They're processing you like a security system processes motion. It's continuous, it's automatic. And honestly, they couldn't care less about your intentions. This means that your internal state, whether you're feeling calm or you're distracted or you're just quietly excited to see them, doesn't reach them directly. What reaches them is only the physical output of that state. Your body language is your message. And you've been broadcasting that message every time you step outside, whether you realized it or not. But it goes deeper than that. There's one specific behavior that almost everyone gets wrong. It's probably the biggest reason birds pull away right at the moment you feel like you're actually connecting. It's the stare. You see a bird at the feeder. It's beautiful, it's close, and it's perfectly still. So you lock eyes with it, you go quiet, you hold your gaze because you don't want to break the moment. And then, within 2 seconds, it's gone. You probably thought a shadow or a sudden sound scared it off. But here's the reality. You scared it. With your eyes. See, a long, direct gaze is one of the oldest threat signals in the animal kingdom. Predators stare right before they strike. That's the evolutionary context your eye contact arrives in. It doesn't matter how soft your expression is or how much warmth you're feeling to the bird's nervous system. That gaze is a lock-on. It's the unbroken stare of something that's tracking it. Now, compare that to what researchers call the peripheral approach, Instead of looking right at the bird, you look slightly past it. You turn your body at a bit of an angle. You move slowly, with your gaze kept off-center. And the bird, instead of flushing, it often stays. Sometimes it even turns toward you. Why? Because your signal just changed. You're no longer the predator's focus. You're something ambient, something that belongs to the environment instead of targeting it. That peripheral approach is basically a way of saying, in a language much older than words, I see you, but I'm not after you. That tiny shift where you point your eyes changes everything. And here's something most people don't think about. When you stand still in your garden, you are just a person standing there. To the birds that frequent your yard, you become a coordinate. You are a fixed point in a map they've built in incredible, agonizing detail. Every regular visitor to your garden has a mental model of the space. They know where the food is, where the cover is, where the sightlines are clear. If you show up consistently in the same spots with the same slow movements, you get absorbed into that map. You stop being a variable. You become a landmark. Your scent, layered into that map day after day, becomes a low-threat tag. The sound of your door, your timing, the direction you walk from it all gets filed away. Eventually, your presence doesn't read as a disruption anymore. It reads as condition normal. That's when they start landing closer, not because they've decided to trust you in any human sense, but because your existence in that space has been You're just part of the territory, and this is really where the architecture of trust gets built. It doesn't just happen in one moment, It isn't about the quality of the birdseed or how slow you moved one specific morning. It's about repetition. It's the accumulation of thousands of little, non-threatening data points over time. See, what these birds are doing, especially the regulars, is running a long-term probability assessment. Every time you show up and nothing bad happens, that threat score they have for you just ticks down a little bit. Every predictable arrival, every calm step, even just looking away at the right time, it all feeds into this mental model they're building. They're basically asking, do you cost me energy? Because for a bird, trust isn't some deep emotional thing, it's thermodynamic. Every time they have to fly away, that's fuel. Every alarm call is a risk. Every time they abandon a perfectly good meal because they think you're a threat, that's a real cost to their survival. They aren't asking, do I like this person? They're asking, does this person force me to spend resources I can't afford to burn? When the answer stays no over and over again, you've become efficient. You're low cost. You've become, in the most elegant biological sense, safe. And this is the part people who can't get birds to come close always miss. It's not really about what you're offering them. It's about what you don't do. The trust is built in the negative space, in the threats that never materialized, the times you didn't stare them down, the steps you didn't take too fast. But now, try flipping it. You've probably looked at your backyard as a space you've designed for them. You put out the feeders, you planted the flowers, you're the architect of the whole scene. But think about the actual direction of the influence. Every tiny adjustment you've made, slowing down near the feeder, avoiding eye contact, sitting in the exact same chair at the same time every morning. You didn't just decide to do those things randomly. You did them because the birds taught you to. You changed your behavior in response to theirs. You were trained just as much as they were. The ecosystem you thought you were building for them, it's been quietly reshaping you. Your movements, your patience, the way you even take up space in your own yard. You haven't just been sitting there observing nature. You've been caught in this feedback loop so subtle, so consistent, that neither of you even had to be conscious of it for it to work. And that, in the end, is probably the most honest way to describe what's actually happening between you and the birds that share your space. It isn't really about ownership. It isn't just watching them either. It's this quiet, unspoken negotiation that's been running in the background of your life, all conducted in the language of movement, rhythm, and just choosing not to be a threat. They learned to read you. And honestly, somewhere along the way, you started picking up their language too. So I've got to ask you something, and I'd really love to hear your take in the comments. What's one thing you started doing in your yard, maybe without even thinking about it at first, that suddenly changed how close the birds would come? Maybe you started moving a little slower or standing in a different spot. Or maybe you just stopped doing something altogether. Whatever it was, I think if you look back at it, you'll realize you didn't just change your behavior, you changed the signal.